Added sugars can be part of a healthy diet, but they're often consumed in excess amounts in diets.
Registered dietitian, nutritionist Lindsay Vedelson is going to join us to talk about how people are consuming more sugar than they realize, and it seems like it's everywhere.
It is in a lot of
Welcome
foods
back
that
to the
we're
show, by the way,
well,
too.
thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. So yes, there are added foods. Added sugars? What that is it's the sugars that are in the processing and packaging of different foods, and they are found in a lot of different things. So that's what I wanted to do, is just kind of show different products and kind of give the consumers an idea of what they should be looking for. So and what happens when we consume sugars in excessive amounts is our blood sugars rise, and then our pancreas has to produce more insulin to lower our blood sugars, and that high level of insulin causes us to store body fat. And really that fat storage is mainly around that midsection. And so I have a lot of my patients come in and say, well, I have this spare tire now. Well, more than likely it's from those added sugars and that excess carbs. So it's becoming to be a large problem with Americans nowadays.
It becomes more difficult for your body to even process it, right?
Well, true, with those added sugars. And the thing that's the problem is when we're looking at, like I brought a food label here, on the food label, the current food label, it doesn't show with the sugars what is natural sugar and what is added sugar. So it's really confusing for the layperson to really understand, well, what is added sugar and what is the natural occurring sugar in a food. But what's nice is the new food label that's coming out is it's showing the grams of added sugar that's in the processing portion now.
Wow.
So that's going to be a nice thing for the consumers now to see is going to be the added sugar amounts in the grams. So I think that's going to be a huge step. So so the labels are now changing to this. It hasn't been completely turned over to this point yet, but it will be in the near future. So
which end should we start with?
Let's start over here with the fruit, because I feel like this is something that's very very confusing for a lot of people, because obviously fruit has natural sugars, but when we're looking at these raisins, and how I've depicted this is each sugar cube is a teaspoon of sugar, which is equivalent to 4 grams.
Oh my gosh.
So we have this box of raisins that has 17 grams of sugar, but it's naturally occurring sugar from the raisins. And then we have these dried pineapples that have 31 grams of sugar, which is the 8 cubes, but then you have to realize that this has added sugar to it because it's sweetened. And there's no reason for dried fruit to have added sugar to that. So you can see the difference between
a lot of sugar.
The difference between the raisins and then the pineapple that has added sugar to it. So I think it's a really valid point to look at the nutrition label and make sure you can see here that it has sugar as the second ingredient. And here with the ingredients, it's just raisins. So
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Just raisins.
grapes.
Right. So obviously there's a huge difference between those two. And next we have 2 different types of bars. I often will have my patients come in and say they're eating granola bars. That is truly just sugar. Okay. So here it's just those two of those crunchy oat bars. Yep. And so we have 12 grams of sugar in those 2 bars. And here is a protein bar, and that has 6 grams of sugar. So we're talking half the amount of sugar.
And they try to label these as like, oh, you're getting so much protein, we're gluten-free, we have this and this packed in here. But then you're forgetting about what else is packed in there as well.
True.
Yeah.
But at least you can kind of see how much you're comparing the sugar amounts, because these granola bars are really not a good product for you.
But just
at
to
all.
back up, you're telling me that granola bar has less sugar than that box of raisins?
But you also have to realize that this is all natural sugar.
Right, but my body's still processing 3 and/or 4 teaspoons of sugar, correct?
True.
Wow, that's shocking.
It is shocking how much it is. But you're probably going to get, a better bang for your buck with with
Right.
doing a more natural form of the sugar too.
Wow.
But when you're looking at a label, you wouldn't know that because the labels right now are just going to tell you sugars and they're not going to tell you what's added or what's not until the new label comes out. That's
Got
why
it.
people are so confused about
Right.
that. So until the new label comes out, that'll help us tremendously.
This one looks like it's got some good news for us.
Spaghetti sauce.
Spaghetti
Yeah.
sauce, and that's really deceiving too. I mean, who would think that marinara sauce would have sugar? But they add sugar to that too. So we have Classico, which a half a cup is a serving, and so this has 6 grams of sugar, which is a cube and a half.
Oh, just in half a
A
cup.
half. And that's a half a cup is a serving.
Oh,
That's
I
a
thought you
standard.
reflected this whole thing.
Oh no,
No.
no! I
man.
just couldn't.
I was like,
should have
maybe there's
measured
some
up.
good news here for us.
Right.
and
So a half a cup is a serving. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Now we're looking at Ragu, which is the same a half a cup, but this is 11 grams of sugar. So we're talking
Whoa.
6 versus 11 for essentially the same product. So
Wow.
we need to start looking at labels and seeing how much added sugar is in just the same product, just a different brand.
No, this one is scary.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Now, who doesn't give their kid just a Hi-C juice box? This is actually, when you look at the label, it's only 10% juice. So,
Scary.
I mean, if you're giving your kid maybe 100% juice, it would be a little bit better. But oh my goodness, that is 23 grams
Oh
of
my
sugar.
gosh.
That's 6 cubes.
In one little, and they sometimes like
Suck those
3
things
down.
and that's a pretty small juice box
That's
too.
what I
I
was
mean,
gonna say.
that's
Yeah.
I mean, that's
And
yeah.
then we wonder why they're bouncing off the walls afterwards. You know what I mean?
So, what do you think a 12-ounce can of regular pop would be?
I bet you it's 3 times that. 4 maybe even.
half of that. I'm gonna go opposite
No.
of you. I'm gonna go opposite.
So it's about 10 to 11 cubes. So it's about 40 to 45 grams of carbs.
Those are just, wow.
And obviously that's all added sugar. There's no natural sugars in pop. So
Well, I thought pop was all natural.
Yeah.
that's right.
I don't know
Nice
what
try.
pop you've created. And the next one,
So we have-
to say it's ice cream.
So this is ice cream. Yep, there's your, and that's a serving size, is a half a cup. So we have 16 grams of sugar, which would be your 4 cubes. Okay.
Wow.
So I mean, a lot of people will sit down and have a pint, or so
Yeah.
then we're not. I mean, most people are eating larger
That
portions
Jimmy
in this. So.
Fallon, Ben and Jerry's, that thing, or what is it? I mean, that's gone in like one sitting.
Another one that's really tricky would be yogurt. Okay, because it's not distinguishing between, there are natural sugars in yogurt because of the milk and even the fruit. So I just kind of wanted to show the depiction between, you have the plain Greek yogurt here, which that only has 4 grams of sugar, which is 1 cube.
Right.
Okay, but then a fruited yogurt, obviously that's going to add some more, which is 11 grams of sugar. So we're talking between a 4 gram and an 11 gram. But you got to think of that is some fruit in there too, but then they're adding sugar too. So you just got to be a little bit careful with.
So if you want to try to eliminate some of this stuff, or at least mitigate it, I mean, you're talking like eggs, chicken, like what should you be focused on eating?
I think what we really just need to do is, when you are looking at the label, just try to get the least amount of sugars as possible. Okay. And the nice thing about it is, the new labels are going to be coming out, and they're going to be focusing on the added sugars now. So that way you know if they have a high amount of added sugars, that's probably a product you need to leave on the shelf.
Right.
So this, you probably have seen some of these labels just because some products have now changed to this label. But the FDA has extended this, so manufacturers they don't have to have this label until later on in the year. But I think this is going to be key, is the added sugars, making sure that you have the least amount of grams possible.
Right.
Okay, so
Wow.
that's what we need to start looking at, is start reading some labels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so important. You want to rush to the grocery store, but once you start to read a few labels, you'll get used to which products are actually
Exactly.
Yeah.
a little bit
Exactly.
better for you and your family
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Great visuals. Thank you for doing
Thanks.
that.
Yes, thanks for having
Appreciate
me today. Appreciate it.
it. All right, stick around. We're going to wrap up Friday right after this.